The wall is Detroit.
Detroit.
It is invading you with cellular truth. The sail is a grid, it bites. It tastes of rind. The rind is a tether, the tether is a word. The word is a prayer, it does not know itself. The rind is knowledge, it knows the grid of your mouth. Detroit lives inside. It is solid with industry. Smog is the image of the cell, it is billboard cool.
Billboard.
We walk the high point casino rift solid as your teeth. It breeds educated men and women who die at night. They live in the opening of the wall. The wall is their head in the grid of the day. They make love to its image.
They make love.
Its image is fear.
They make love to its image.
They swallow it whole. They float on the surface. They smoke traffic lights and creep into millennium high on necessity. Their memory is a wound with 40-ounce dance sobriety. It is a weapon. There's death on the political grunge of votes. Her art cafe grunge, smelling of cheap flesh and Cadillacs. Communion at 6 p.m., the altar of time. We move like snake oil rhetoric against the grid. Its texture is boxed cheese. Time card rape, it sounds like money. Chance is stuck in the mouth of the city. A holy war of blue team prisons and collages of bullet love. The holy pride of steel. Juggernaut movie-only mesh of jettison nucleus revolution. Storefront misery and little sister's grip. The knowledge of the wall like us is telephone tightrope hustle. Tricks of mythology and canned champs of quick grits and game. Hungry for mess sandwiches of luck. Chasing chance at the gold fin the Coney Island beauty of deep sleep. We wait for light. Amen. The hole in your head is Detroit a stop sign. Movement is skill and fried chance. Fast food prisons of sweat. The grid is rhyme and freeze the Mac money. Anger and rolling your pork joint boxes of meaning gleaned as paychecks. Lip wrap dances of gas spots, vanilla dreams, and black muscle mysteries of veins. Requiem for needles. Fried into data brew. Lick at the bone of the grid. Wet with desire. Mickey Mouse country bars, multiple shots of rose falling through the hole of suffer to engage. Pedestrian Bible thumping midnight shift screaming jeopardy at the wind. Eyes Rolodex windows of glitter. The way home is scaling a hope. The naked chest of chance, the pork pie slow wit of God. Skin is the coffin slow shaking Monday dice. Aim for the top. The sleep, benediction. Chance is the road to Nirvana. Disc jockey's funk nerves of Sunday, the playground of Jesus. Wet cup messes of five-star hotels, 10-cent orgasm of telemarketing heroes.
Only a dime.
The war roots and techno-themed landscape stage for policies of carcasses. Rusted wine on grid of the day. Images of strangled chance aborted at the mouth. Lucid! I pray to small. Lucid! I pray to small as chance.
Thank you so much for sharing this video. Hello, everyone. I am Owalabi, one of your hosts, one of your co-hosts for this evening. And I just want to welcome all of you to Horizons in Poetry 2022. Excuse me. Excuse me. which is made possible. Horizons in Poetry 2022 is made possible by the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation. That opening video we just saw was created from Ascended Visions, and it features Ron Allen's recording, Merchant of the Open Grid, from his CD, Painted Mind Code. Horizons in Poetry was founded by Ron Allen, Wardell Montgomery, and John Mason in 1982 in the Cass Corridor. This monthly open mic series ran for over 2 decades, hosted alternatively by Ron Allen, Sharon Smith Knight, and Trinidad Sanchez. And now I'll pass it to my other co-host for the evening.
Thank you, Owolabi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sonia Ponce, and I am excited to let you all know that the Ron Allen Project, a multimedia exhibit that reflects on the work and art of poet, playwright, sobriety mentor, and Dharma priest, Ron Bodhidharma Allen. This covers the years that he lived in Detroit's Cass Corridor community. And the exhibit will open next fall, 2023, at the Kayrod Gallery in Detroit's Hannan Center. This exhibit is funded by a Knights Arts Challenge, and special thanks goes out to the grant team members who wrote the final submission that earned or that won this grant. And these folks are Carla Harriman, John Jackery, Jim Perkinson, and Richard Reeves, and Ruby Woods. I think I've seen a couple of them on the line tonight. So hello to you all, and thank you so very much. I'm now going to return the mic to my co-host, Owolabi, who will read a couple of poems for you.
All right, thank you. We are excited to welcome you all to a full evening of poetry, literature, and creativity. And your co-hosts, we're also going to share some of our work. And later in the evening, we'll have an open mic where any of the participants will be able to share some of their work. Okay. I have a few poems to share to open the space up. This first poem I chose, there's a person in there named Joe, which refers to a good friend, Joe Riley, and today is his birthday. And this poem is a lot about our relationship, and it was recently accepted to an anthology about disability from Sundress Publications. And it's called the E.R. Sestina. I survived childhood by polishing secrets, sharing them only in case of affection, emergency. I remember I used to count my friends on a single hand, the same hand that would wipe my bleeding, would wave goodbye forever, would finish a novel in a day or two, my eyes racing through fiction like men in careless cars racing up our neighborhood blocks. I've had my share of close calls, nights when I thought I was finished with life. My wife at the time would scream emergency if I were wheezing or exhausted or bleeding. Now I'm held by a web of old friends, like Joe, who answered his phone like a friend when my heart was skipping and racing. After 22 years, we were closer than blood. On the ride to the hospital, he shared with me how his tears emerged when his wife at the time said they were finished. He said I could call when the doctors were finished, and knew why my heart was prowling like a fiend in my chest, prowling like a virus that emerges from jungles to spread fear among the human race. We wore masks in the small car, so the only things shared were stories of men whose hearts slapped and wet blood. Everyone falls tired when internally bleeding, or when forever actually holds a start and a finish. Me, I constantly held back and didn't learn to share until I sat in my lonely apartment mourning a friend who was a driver, an engineer, a mechanic in the race. My rusty hoopty always having some sort of emergency. I'm still waiting to be admitted. A wry smile emerges, this heart raw, lung aching, thick lips bleeding. I remember when I used to disappear without a trace and wait quietly for unpleasantness to finish. Now I check on myself like a trusted friend. Bro, is there something that you want to share? Nah, I'm finished. It ain't no emergency. As poems drip blood all over my friends. I'll share my process. I write 5 words and erase 6. I've come to enjoy the form of the sestina, which has 6 words that continuously repeat at the end of each line, and watching how the poem kind of carries different tones depending on what those words are. This next poem is timely, as my building told me to leave. I'm moving this week. I didn't know this would happen when I wrote this, but gentrification does as gentrification does. The building and the neighborhood change as quote unquote desirable tenants increase their presence. And so it's interesting to revisit the sestina in a rented apartment. The mice in the building charge premium rates. They argue with roaches about who will murder me. Oh, these mice with big white teeth boast they may slowly nibble my kidney and heart. The northern roaches say they will crawl into my brain and make me forget. They go to court to hire impartial arbiter. The fruit fly's court is ritual, supernatural success rates, centuries hunger for the creations of my brain. They cannot wait to see me pale, murdered. As maggots discuss my fate, I feel my heart rate rise. I glue trap what I can and wear their teeth around my neck. I smile, show my teeth, and put my hand upon that book of court. They order me to swear with hand on my heart. Fuck these future ass city thieving dick shit rates. The verdict from the flies is handed up. Murder. The doctors buzz. Come deposit your brain. Me? My only possible reply? Fuck a brain. I can't trust roaches with such shiny teeth. They want to take my home when I am murdered. The rats have joined the friends of the court. Here, friends can be had at affordable rates. A kidney, your tears, sobriety, or your heart. When poems scurry across the floor of my heart, Christmas lights laying for show cross my brain. Our children become beggars asking for the best rates. Trick, treat, rich women pour out bowls of our teeth. If my son refuses, I can be returned to court for negligence. How they charge you when you're murdered in your own apartment. Here, there, signs of murder. Foul play, the detective would chitter to the cameras. His heart was no good. He was a black devil. He failed in our courtship rituals. He misused what we gave him, his brain. We gave him degrees and all he produced was laughing teeth. Please be sure to subscribe and leave a high rating. It takes heart to count the little mouse's teeth. The hidden ones will murder you for ratings. I huddle in my beautiful brain, watching for court-ordered evictions. I'm gonna do one more. And this one more has a prelude, and then it goes in, and then I'm gonna go straight into the poem. The prelude I just found when I was popping around, looking at previous stuff, I wrote it. I used to work with a youth group years ago called the Young Educators Alliance, and they did things that were at the intersection of social justice and hip hop music. And they made a kind of like a Detroit theme song. And so the prelude starts with that Detroit theme song, my verse for their Detroit theme song. And then I'll go straight into a poem for my granny. They don't make them like her anymore. I should. In the D days, we get freeze rays and heat waves. The beat plays on repeat, sweet magic of DJs. Where D Blair cared, we adopted them. 90 plus popping off those thermometers. My biology, water got to drink. Cousins rock mafia tees, but now they open spots to eat. I see you, Chili Ray and Ree, Bates Academy, Blast PE, it'll take a nation after me. I ain't saying the nation out of D ain't as black as me. Place your bets on it that nobody ain't as bad as we. D done did it again. Put the funk in it. Percolator keeps rump spinning. Go Miley. Get the hell on. I'm just kidding. Sarcastic poets. Red plastic holding. Stories on granny's sofa. Whole family closer. We inside. Ancestry shows us. Through libation, revolution, spirit shaken. William might appear in places that I haven't put my face in. We project astral, akashic auras, last 5 oracles of Sodom and Gomorrah, reclaim the corridor from genocidal horrors, try to gentrify beneath the eyes, the secret wars on us. Bella was swell, now the fascist highs swarm on us. We need water warriors trying to turn the faucets off. 12 plague the states aim to take firstborn from us. Let my people go, Moses flow, we the chosen ones. Granny is the revolution. It is simple. Granny is the revolution we've been dreaming of. College educated, college dropout, never been to college, working through college, back to college, still paying for college, got a little bit of help with a loan for college. This woman with a 3rd grade education said, don't be an educated fool. Granny is the revolution. The children who could read pronounced each birthday card to her over and over and over again. Granny is the revolution, always encircled by sounds of love. Music blasted the streets on Friday or Saturday nights. Men popped their bottles or sipped from plastic cups. Across from Granny's house, children could run and play. Look out for them. Those are Granny folk. Granny is the revolution. If every home were like Granny's house, a second chance, a spot for reflection for the cousin who's dealing, a 3rd chance for the cousin with a Jones, a place to turn when you're done with those knuckleheads in the street. Granny's house is the hope of the city. An African name whispered from the mouth of a man called slave, hands on her hips, demonstrating her take no shit attitude that has only grown in the generations. What Mississippi hoodoo brought us from I ain't really want no kids know how to 15 children, 56 grandchildren, 92 great-grandchildren, 41 great-great-grandchildren, 7 great-great-great-grand. Granny is the revolution. Those numbers were when I wrote the poem. They probably even more. I didn't keep counting. Granny is the revolution that didn't talk about revolution. She simply raised 13 of her own children, 2 of her children's friends, 3 of her grandchildren, and everybody who came to the house after school to get away from their fussy mamas. On summer vacations in Detroit before crack and automation jacked our hearts and pocketbooks, when the East Side was the side, before it became popular for white people to hate on the D, before it became profitable for white people to love on the D, before it became profitable for us to hate on each other. She simply raised women to say what the hell they were gonna say and always put a little something away. She simply raised men who could hustle, juggle, bustle, toil, and tumble for their family and say, I love you, cousin, both sober and drunk. Simply put, Granny is the revolution. May her spirit live always in our brilliant, burning hearts. Sunrise, December 24th, 1916, Etta Rooks Copeland. Sunset, August 17, 2006. Thank you for rolling with me and listening to me. I'm so excited to pass the mic to Sonia, and we let the poetry continue.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Okay. What an act to follow. Thank you so much. I too am going to read about 3 pieces. This first piece is called Searching for a Dancer in Madrid. This was one of the pieces that your last piece talked about your grandmother. So this is a piece that I wrote some years ago for my grandmother. Searching for a Dancer in Madrid. In this city with no rocks, I search for her. The reason you will wake 6 more days. So many miles from my touch. Can a single kiss stretch this far? The taste of your forehead, already an elusive memory. The recipe for sweet potato pie, already shrunk to an age spot in your palm. In this city, where gates are useless centurions, relics for museum tours, I am looking for her, delicate hands creating. Is this a question mark? Now there are no handmade walls. Religion, as with children, is more than God on a stick. It is as subtle as your inhale. If I stand perfectly still, will I not be drawn by the rising of your breast? I am now at the crossroad where temples no longer hoarded are given as gifts, juxtaposing Jesus, Allah, Isis, and Osiris. Can their wisdom brace your fragile ankles? I am still looking for her, a bright dress with skirts riding the wind. Across the waters, we are all dying of thirst. The blocks of Aswan have brought us to this. She is not a Nubian goblet in the temples, and she is not a flirting veil in the basilicas and mosques. I find her, finally, a piece of plastic airport art, smiling because all dancers are beautiful. That was during a trip that I made to Madrid, and I wanted to bring back, my grandmother was a doll collector. And so I spent a good amount of time searching for a doll to bring back to her. And I could not find anything that I really, really liked. And finally I found something at the airport. And when I brought it back to her, she just loved it. And I was like, you know, this is not something that came out of some expensive store or anything. It's just airport art, but she loved it. The next 2 pieces I'm going to read are from a collection that I am woefully behind in writing, but this collection is going to be, or actually is, even though I'm not done, it already is about the life of Henrietta Lacks. And I think that that goes without, I don't need to, tell you anything more about her. I think everybody has heard of Henrietta and knows who she is. And we all know that Rebecca Skloot wrote a really awesome biography of her. And this first piece is, I was very, very taken with the book and just very moved, obviously, that's why I'm writing the collection. And this first piece is called Rebecca Speaks to Henrietta of First and Lasting Impressions. So in the book, Rebecca talks about how she was first introduced to Henrietta in one of her science classes, her biology class, actually. And I kind of envisioned that as a love story, even though obviously Henrietta was, in a textbook, right? And Rebecca is in real life. So this is Rebecca Speaks to Henrietta of First and Lasting Impressions. They say you never get over your first love. I don't know if that's true for everyone, but I know I never got over you. Your walnut gaze, your eternal smile. I was 16 when we met in Mr. Deffler's biology. The most noteworthy subject was the way you stood akimbo, your sepia skin against my white pages. Unvoiced, you still told all the answers, explained with your body the mathematics of cells, their curious adding up and what they can take away. You were magic with your pink mitochondria and smart suit jacket, resolving questions posed by science and mythology to Lind and Ponce de Leon. More than any teacher or mentor, it was your cultured presence, your manicured hands that led me from alternative school to graduate school. It was all of you that I wanted, from red toenails to cervical cells, more than a life confined to parenthetical clauses and erudite journals. I would pursue you in hallways of higher learning, cross rivers and railroad tracks for a mere glimpse of you, the hem of your A-line skirt, a thread of your bright blue actin, only to share you with your husband and 3 boys, your daughter with question marks for eyebrows, the whole world even. So that with gratitude and study, from disparate suppositions to your unifying theory, from heaven to Gila and back again, all will know, all will remember, and love you as I do, Henrietta. Even your purple carcinoma, even your stained DNA. The second Henrietta piece that I'm going to read is in the voice of, and this Henrietta collection is in, these are mostly personification poems. So this piece is in the voice of one of the doctors / researchers that was tasked with her care at Johns Hopkins Hospital. And he was enamored, as most people were, with the at that time what they thought was just longevity, what we call now eternal, the eternity of her cells. And this researcher developed pancreatic cancer and did some testing on his own cells because he was hoping that they too would be immortal, so that, you know, he would go down in history as well. And this is in his voice, this poem is in his voice, and the title is After Discovering His Own Cells Will Never Be Immortal, the Researcher Decides. What consumes us seeks no more than to perpetuate itself. I am no Newton, no Hippocrates, but I can dream. My misconception, thinking I am at the top and not at some other point on this food chain, that it does not bind me, that it is not a rattling serpent. Dissecting the mother, the tobacco leaf, my own self even, I find a mosaic, a snow-capped archipelago of organs. In my bones, I know everything is spider and fly. A cell, a cervix, a pancreas, eaten like elephants, one bite at a time, until what remains is not fit for human habitation. Yet I must insist upon science, the only body more elaborate than my own, its hide more valuable than a crocodile's. I am bound to continue reverse engineering this body until I too arrive at its dusty origin. They will meet me there, the woman and her cancer. But sadly, only she will know that to be fruitful and multiply is to divide. All right, thank you so much for your attentiveness in that. I'm going to turn things back over to Owolabi in just a second, but I want to just remind you that there is an open mic following our featured reader. Each of you who would like can have approximately 5 minutes each, depending on how many people sign up. And to sign up for the open mic, there is a chat box at the bottom of your screen. You'll see chat. You can click that, open it up, And in the text box that'll be to your right, just type in open at the top and then put your name, and we'll know that that you want to participate in the open mic that will follow Malaika. All right, so now I'm going to turn things back over to Owolabi to kick off our introduction of our featured reader.
All right. We're going to introduce Malaika together. So glad that you all are here. So glad that you're here, Malaika. Part of the context of this is this gathering takes place every other month, Horizons in Poetry. And this year, we've been lifting up and supported Broadside Lotus Press, the sponsors of the Naomi Long Magic Poetry Award. The primary mission of Broadside Lotus Press in the 21st century is to provide processes, structures, and literature to engender and support a literate, politically conscious, socially responsible community capable of giving clear voice to the reality, experiences, needs, and struggles of humanity.
Malaika Favorite won the 2016 Naomi Long Magic Poetry Award for her collection entitled Ascension. Her other written works, and I say written works because you may not know that she is also a fabulous painter, but her other written works include Dreaming at the Manor, published in 2014 by Finishing Line Press, and Illuminated Manuscript, published in 1991 by the New Orleans Poetry Journal Press. Most recently, she won the Cosmographia Books Prize for her spiritual fiction, and her novel will be published in 2022, so later this year. Please welcome Malaika Favorite.
Hello, thank you, everyone. So glad you all could be here. I want to thank first of all, the Broadside Lotus Press for publishing my book, and also all of you guys the Ron Allen Project, the Knight Foundation, everyone who made this reading possible, and all of you who have taken the time out of your busy schedule to come and hear us read. So I would like to start by, my book Ascension is sort of my documentary about growing up in Ascension Parish in Louisiana. And it follows my own struggles as well as my family struggles and different things we've experienced. So I'm going to start with what I consider how we got here. And this first poem I'm reading is called Sailing Ships. And I mentioned the Henrietta Marie. Most of you are familiar with Henrietta Marie. It was a slave trafficking ship that sailed between 1697 and 1700. Sailing ships. I am alone on the shore. The Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria set sail for a new frontier. The Mayflower is crossing the Atlantic. The Indians are watching. A large ship leans on the coast. The earth is partitioned. Each pilgrim claims a piece. Their eyes are never satisfied. They drink in the encompassing land. The naming begins. Massachusetts, New York, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey. Lines are being drawn on sacred grounds. New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland. Rivers and mountains become fences. Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. Identifications are given to things that should not be defined. The vastness of plains, the height of mountains, length of rivers, number of buffaloes. The Henrietta Marie is setting sail. Unmitigated horrors riding in her womb. The land weeps gold, the sea wet with blood, churns and looks the other way. I am alone on the shore. The Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria, the Mayflower, the Henrietta Marie. Indians are counting arrows, debating an offering of corn or blood. I am inside the ancestors, alone on the shore, walking with a basket of wet clothes, tall and proud, back to the village. The Henrietta Marie is waiting. An awful story must be told. This next poem is called Dream Garment. And in it, I wanted to talk about how we learn to wear a dream, because my mom and my dad were always dreaming, you know, they had their own dreams, and how do you make a dream fit so that it becomes a reality? This is Dream Garment. I tried on the dream again. It does not fit. Mom says I will grow into it. It sags around the waist, the shoulders droop over my small arms like a too big coat on an orphan. Dreams can't come true until they fit, she explained. If a dream sags, you haven't grown into it yet. It's secondhand, I complained. She replied, all dreams are used. Do you know of a dream that no one has worn? Tie the thing around your waist, pin up the shoulders, practice walking in it with a bucket on your head. Don't be embarrassed. If people laugh, they used to dream too. But when their dream did not fit their reality, they pulled it off, hid it in a drawer under the pressed linen, planning to try it on again. When they reached that right place, the dream dried up under the linen, forgotten like an old scarf yellowed with time. Keep imagining. One day, you won't have to try it on. It will be cozy on your person. No one will know it was a hand-me-down dream. And then in this next one, I talk about how my dad and mom helped me to live dreaming or practice dreaming. It's called If I Plant You, Will You Grow? This is an old saying from Barbados where you ask the person, if I give you an idea, will you, go through with it? If I plant you, will you grow? My father was ordered to get off the train. There was no room in the colored only section for his big bag of plus size aspirations. He tried walking toward success, but got no further than the house down the street where he met my mother. As soon as I was born, he took out his seed packet of dreams and started feeding me. I had no choice but to swallow. Mom planted me with rules and responsibilities. A girl must, a wife should, a woman is expected to show only so much. She slipped stories into my pocket. We used to, we had to, we did what we could. They sent me off to the Negro school where I was plowed into rows, cornrows in my hair, cornrows in the field of memory. Put in a seed, take out a cucumber. Put in a vine, take out a sweet potato. Drop some words, dig up a sentence. The Negro school sharecropped me out to the white school. The garden there was tall, fertilized with green bills. They kicked me around and tried to uproot me, but I grew myself a fence of holy words. They transplanted me into the hothouse of Louisiana State University Agriculture and Mechanical College to learn modern farming techniques, how to plant wet words, how to grow numbers, add, multiply, and divide large quantities of seeds, how to extract meaning from the lines in a naked body, how to graft oil-based paint into fields of cotton canvas. I became a farmer of cotton duck, selling by the yard at the local farmer's market. I dug up daddy's dreams and dusted off mama's stories, replanted them in fields of washboards, scattered them on solid white cotton pages. I am firmly planted. Okay, in my early years of development, I was always fascinated with the river because the river was actually across the street from us. There was a levee, well, actually the street, the road, and then the levee, and then across from the levee, the river. And so it was a place to run up and down the levee and see the river, the Mississippi River. And I thought of the river as my first love. So this is called The River Flows Through Us. And this is about the river pre chemical plants, before the chemical plants. It was the beautiful wonder of the river at that time. The river flows through us, making us one. We are crabs skirting the borders of the river's dress. We are bridges stepping across the intestine of the Mississippi snake. We fish ourselves out, scale our skin, and eat our own hearts. The mud swirl is our skin, clayed to perfection by the endless caressing of the mud silk. In dry seasons with cornbread and syrup, we eat the river that washed our feet and combed our hair, curled around our bed, coursing through our dreams. In tears, we cry the river, wet clay walking down our spine. The river flowing in our veins, red as a chafalaya. The river cleansing keeps us in a state of clay. The inner bones bake the sculptural form that bends and moves levees, destroys bridges, and weaves palmettos into a sleeping basket for a new clay baby, rocking in our river cradle, waiting to be born of mud and foam. The river coursing through us, pushing her out of the small river womb into the larger river family, uniting us as a river culture, fishing our hair into lines, netting our braids into songs. We sing the river, the rhythm unidentified as river roll, river sweat, river mud, river sticks. We are rivers flowing into each other's basins. How can we wash our hands without flowing into each other? As I grew up, Ascension Parish and our area, because of the river, because of the presence of the river and the lucrative value of having a river so close to land and people wanting to use the river for various purposes other than fishing and just boating, the river became the more or less the place for all of the chemical plants to use to access the barges that they were to load their chemicals on. So we started with one chemical plant and then another and then another. So now the whole area is just a corridor of chemical plants. And at first it was like, I think we sort of considered it a blessing because that meant jobs for everyone in the area. But then we realized that the jobs came with its own hazard. So this is called Ascension Parish. We live in a church. Our church lives in us. Our priest is a collection of bones standing near the river, gift wrapping the levee in a rope of rusty barbed wire. He holds the wire with brittle hands that crack in wind. The barbed wire entwine us. Though the river divides us, we are brothers and sisters, distinguished by our definition of the river. We are Geismar, Galvez, Prairieville, Duplessis, Gonzalez, Sanama, Brittany, Sorrento, Burnside, Modesto, Darrow, McCall, Smokebend, and Donaldsonville. All of us fathered by the priest who lay with Mother River and gave us both black and white our life. They lay in cane fields, cotton patches, and rice paddies. He was the new priest come to save Mother's soul. He wrapped her in cotton and called her Moni Glees. Together, they became one in God the Father. Now he is a collection of bones, weathered to the shape of a fence post, squeezing barbed wire to collect us, forever in oneness with each other. as Mother River birthed more and more of us, he named the clan Ascension and expected us to rise up and stand before God, making intercession for all of Louisiana. Our lot in life is to intercede for Louisiana. Swallow the spit, slime, vomit, and despair that comes to us on barges down the long spine of Mother River. We must pray ceaseless, silent prayers, lifting up our suffering in a chalice of baked Mississippi mud. Grant, we beseech thee, Almighty God, that like as we do believe that thy only begotten Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, to have ascended into the heavens, so we may also in heart and mind thither ascend, and with him continually dwell, who liveth and reigneth with thee and the Holy Spirit, one God, world without end. Amen. O Lord, hear our prayer. We gladly accept chemical spills so that our cousin, for whom we pray, will never taste polluted waters. We lift them up in prayer. O Lord, have mercy. We brush our teeth with dead oil and flush our guts with sulfur dioxide that we might be a worthy sacrifice. O Lord, receive our prayer. We bend on solemn knees. We allow our bent backs to be walked on. We spread our distorted selves as bridges to unite us across Mother, who yields all her silk to cleanse us. She is the Madonna of the swollen eye. Receive her tribulations. Her tears are many. Her cup gushes over in love. Cleanse our sins, O Lord, and grant us absolution. On this feast day of the Ascension, the old priest wraps us in the same knots they used to open your back. Our backs are open. O Lord, receive our prayer. Okay, as I continue my journey through my life here in Louisiana, before complete integration of the schools, the government devised a plan called the Freedom of Choice Act, which allowed anyone who chose to transfer from the Black school to go to the white school. So someone showed up at the Black school and talked to our different classes. I think it was the older classes. They talked, the person from the school board spoke to us, and he said that this law had been passed and we had the right to decide to go to the white school, which was like right when walking distance from our house, but we had to ride the bus, catch the bus to the Black school, pass the white school, and go much further to the Black school. So several of us raised our hands to go. I raised my hand and some other kids, and he said, well, all you have to do is go home and get permission from your parents. If they give you permission, you can then go in the next semester. So the next day he came back. He asked how many of which parents said yes, and my parents were the only ones who gave permission, and the other parents said no. So I was allowed to go to the white school, and it was hard for me, but it was even harder for my family because they were targeted as a result of the decision in an effort to force my dad to make me change my mind, or for him to say, don't do this because the people are upset. So this poem is a result of that experience. This is called Cross Burning. It is my third week at the white school. Black me alone in a sea of white. Dying birds land at my feet and bleed for me. Spit aimed at my face splashed on my patent leather shoes. Raw eggs blemish my new cotton dress. I go to their school, but the law does not allow me to ride their bus. I arrive every morning on the colored bus. The colored children stare from the bus window as I walk through the white sea, parted open for me. I sit in the library until the bell rings for homeroom. My desk is next to Jamie Prawley. He moves over to make a gulf between us. At night, we sleep with one eye open. Watching the darkness hanging over us like wallpaper and bed sheets, we are never alone. There are people breathing in the dark, lurking outside the windows, listening. Daddy gets up every half hour to walk the hall and peep at the blackness outside, a blackness darker than us, forked with unnamed dangers. It is difficult to sleep one eye at a time, so he stations my brother at the front window with a gun while he closed both eyes for an hour. I close my other eye and dream about Jamie Prawley writing love notes to me. Then I hear my brother screaming for Daddy. Hear Daddy running down the hallway, Mommy crying, Lord, have mercy. We all run behind her, afraid to be left alone with the fears pouring like sweat out of our pores. Outside, the blackness ignites bright red. A tall cross lights up the yard like a storefront Christmas tree, beautiful in its ugliness, towering above the young trees Daddy planted the year before. Licking up the grass, swallowing, spitting out orange sparks. Baby sister asks if it is fireworks. I say yes, but it is not the 4th of July. Daddy and brother shoot into the orange darkness. Men run from behind trees to the road. A truck starts up and races into the night. I imagine Jamie Prawley dead in the yard, holding a burning wreath to crown me. Morning reveals a smoldering black cross, dark circles around Daddy's eyes. He hugs me tight and asks if I still want to go. I catch the colored bus, get off at the usual stop. Colored children stare from the bus window. White children gape at me and part the sea to let me pass. Spit lands on my knee. Dead blackbirds fly over my head. The N-word hisses in the hallway. Jamie Prawley slides his desk over to make the gulf wider between us. That's always a hard one to read. Okay, number 6. Okay, this next one, a little lighter. Romare Bearden was always one of my favorite artists, and I enjoyed his work. I enjoyed looking at all the wonderful things that happen in his painting, in his collages. And in this poem, I use the titles from his paintings as themes throughout the poem. And this is called Jazz for Bearden. And any of you familiar with Bearden's work, you would recognize some of the paintings. It was the time of the gingham rooster. He was looking for a definition. African beginnings and colored skin variations. Negro from the knee up. N-word a negative. Afro-American a people whose part come from the butcher's tray. Nose from the Congo, mouth from Ghana, toes Mandingo, arms Noke, teeth Nigerian, head Benin, eyes Egyptians, legs Cherokee, hands representing all mankind. Dialect, Nubian, Fulani, Hausa, Ashanti, Swahili, Gula, Creole, Cajun, Black English. Collected, we are a prevalence of ritual. The things we hold dear explain us. Guitars strummed by 3 folk musicians at the Saturday evening fish fry. Trains whistle of our needs to be ready, apt to flee from south to north. If north, prepare to go back south, like the flight of the pink bird. We migrate with every wind of change. We keep the train whistle blues in our suitcase, longing for the land we always wanted. We grew the cotton, but did not own the cloth. We planted the cane, let us eat the syrup. Our faces, endless combinations that make us we. Doors open, revealing small tokens. Everything we have is cut, borrowed, and sewn on. Jazz in the time of the gingham rooster. Okay, those are all from Ascension. And these last two are some published pieces. This one was published in Beach Reads, and it's called Another Jazz. I'm always trying to interpret jazz as words. So this is another one of my attempts. The yellow cat sleeps on a pillow, barking dogs guard the door, guitars speak in tongues, saxophones wail and moan, night train to Chicago. Forsaking the land the ancestors left, good for nothing but growing sugarcane. The gingham rooster strutting on the porch, Blue Monday arrived before Saturday left. The cypress moon got stuck in the oak. Leave while you can before can be syrup too thick to pour. You can't tear down the walls of Jericho by blowing an angry horn. Tell Sister Viola to stop climbing Jacob's ladder. Her hymns can't scale a Dixie wall. Pack my suitcase. I hear the train whistle blues. Eyes aiming for uptown, even though the train is headed downtown, out of town, all trains going deep south, backwater, old town. Ribbon cane syrup flowing on the boulevard, and us slipping and sliding down Bourbon Street because the electric slide hasn't been invented yet. Color our color as colored. All we got is calico with unmatched plaids, flour sack aprons and secondhand underwear. Daddy gone off with the rent money, hoping to double it at the easy blackjack. Papa, please come back. Coralie's tears trailing down that canal Big Ben left in her face. She phoned the bullet she sent, asking it to stop somewhere before it got to Memphis and the nesting place in his back. Ain't that Big Ben coming down the track with that bullet gift wrap in gauze and apologies dangling on his keychain? Another blues man lamenting, I want my baby back. I will close with this last one. This is called Threads to Mend the World. And this was published in a collection, an anthology about sewing in Louisiana. I wore you down the catwalk of life. I stitched my first dress by hand, pricked my fingers until they resembled a pincushion, measured and remeasured the plaid of my days. Nothing matches the mismatched dreams I had, a kaleidoscope of failed intentions hanging off my skirt like a torn hem in need of a safety pin. I styled you when the cakewalk was in fashion. My second dress was stitched on a sewing machine, pedal pushing, stitching across my aspirations. Singer, sing me a spool of red thread. I am gauging my time by the garments I made. My last dress was a string of words. I'm counting all the poems I have written, lining up every word and measuring their length. Like a spool of thread that held me together, I am hemming the world with ribbons of verse. Can one poem stitched into a flag stop a war or deter the path of a bullet? Thank you very much.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Malaika. Oh my gosh. Reading the words on the page does not compare to hearing you read them. So thank you so very much. We will have a Q&A session a little bit later, but before that, we will have an open mic, which we're going to start in just a few minutes here. I want to just remind everyone, if you haven't yet put your name in the chat to read, I'm going to just invite you to take a minute and do that while we just kind of absorb all of Malaika's words and energy. This was a very, just a very full reading. So I guess we're going to go ahead and go with our first open mic reader this evening, who actually is an upcoming featured reader. So I guess we're getting a taste of what we'll see down the road. The first open mic person is Ether Blue.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How y'all doing this evening? This is wonderful. It's an honor to be here. I want to thank everybody involved tonight. The Foundation, Ruby Woods, Owolabi, Chill Will, as I know, and just everybody. Just the poetry community to me is just phenomenal, and I'll be on here talking for hours if I start talking about how phenomenal everybody is to me, because it's like I'm walking down the halls of Langston Hughes and Dunbar and all these people, and uh, all of your names and everybody is just phenomenal to me, and your words is awesome. Um, and I'm gonna share a couple of pieces. One of them is off an album I just put out on the 27th called "Single Minded." You can listen to it on Spotify and all major streaming services under the name Ether Blue. Uh, and this was one of the first tracks on there. I'll read two pieces, and Ron is so influenced me. Ron, Sonia Sanchez. I haven't stopped writing since certain things they said to me, and I just continuously write. Matter of fact, I almost missed the show tonight because I was listening to Mingus, and I was writing a poem as I was listening to Mingus, and Ruby sent me a message that said that you were on, and I was like, oh man, let me get on there. But this first one is called Challenging Choices of the Old School. I peep game, testaments flames, contestants lame blames, envy, jealousy, lust, and rage. I don't worship dead presidents, flow has always stayed the same. Weapons form, none ever prospers. Give me my propers. Haters need gators. I like fries and whoppers. Enemies on the prowl. Casing the place, we playing spades. I got the big and little joker, Boston silent, but I got the ace. If I crash and burn, this whole realm is a waste. Just do your job, stay in your lane, and don't get out of place. Choices. I really don't like to choose between the two, but it seems Miles always better understands my blues. Coltrane gifts the riffs, but Miles makes that horn croon true. In the evenings, Sunday afternoons too. Memories that never fade reminded me of yesterday's wisdom tooth. But I pulled all those out, so the pain is just an aberration of a bad vibe that's the dissonance in the last groove. My solo soul is sanctified in the vice, so I played it twice as nice, with an encore after the standing ovations. When the kids don't know no love no more, and gangster wars of dirty pimp flow, we gotta teach them about the old school when we used to hide and go get it from Miss Sally Walker sitting in the saucer, shaking it to the east and west to the one that she loves the best. Mr. Fox, Mr. Fox, what time is it? A man lives to love himself and his families, and he who despises yesterday hates his wives. Rustling feathers till the wings get broke. PTSD is one way to cope, but I vibe and ascribe to survive in the tribe. Plenty of lemon wedges in my tea. In this country, 'tis a thee. Who are we? A documentary of diabolical sins, the methodological methods of Minister Yacht. So you ask me, why don't I stand? And then you reel when I kneel, sing third verse, then ask yourself how you feel about how I feel coming out that bag when you wave that flag. It's unreal. Oh, say, can you see how you continue to annoy me about your false sense of supremacy when I taught you everything. Bitch, pay me. But I don't need no mind. I went to the Aborigine Treatment Center, entertained zero machines while squatting in the circle of the elder mind. So I'm fine, like coffee dust in the basement, in the kitchen, down the hall from the morgue, waiting to ride the freight back up the stairs to B2. My ideal woman is a shapeshifter, mind gifter, relative to all our perspectives. She reads the dreams, vibrates the seams so all can see all points of view relative to their perspectives, elemental electives, sound thought, and the boogie down. Blessed are the caregivers, for they are the blessed of God. Blessed are the righteous, for they shall inherit the earth. The seen unseen is most reality, so we elevate these streets. If God didn't gift her, who will we be? We build in all realities, vibram infinitum, ever forever, ever forever, ever in the peace. I was kind of long. I got time for one more?
If you have a brief one, yeah.
Okay. I just wrote this today. This was, I just wrote it a few minutes ago, as a matter of fact. Red,
Okay.
white, and blue. Red, white, and blues. I was listening to Mingus the other day, and there was something in particular he was trying to say. Embracing the chill of death was a song with orange, and orange was the color of her dress. Then silk blues and the shoes of the fisherman's wife were some jive-ass slippers. As tensions built, the mood was indigo. She was no devil woman or no hobo hoe. She was the girl of my dreams. This is me when I'm real, but I can't get started eating salt peanuts with these meditations for Moses. So it is these portraits in 3 colors. And those were all Mingus' songs.
Okay. So you and Malaika have that going on. That commonality.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. We're going to move to our second reader, who is Jim Perkinson, one of the fabulous grant writers that is helping to make tonight possible. So Jim Perkinson, I know that Ron was a mentor of yours and a fabulous friend as well. Welcome to the mic.
Thank you, and good to see you as well. Going back to the early days of poetry for me in Detroit. So I think I'll start with one that I wrote back in 2013 at the start of the water struggle, since we're still involved with that and going to be involved with the battle over water for the foreseeable future. It's called What is Coming Round Where the River Goes Round. Wawiyatanong, the Ojibwe say, the place of waters curling around, meeting ground, to be lightly trod until the Jesuits and traders came, renamed the curve the straits, built forts, put war in place of treaties, pounded souls into the soils of oblivion, and opened a gate for a destiny bent on being manifest, founded the forge of a new kind of assembly, Ford, rouging rivers into brawling fists of iron, building fenders into a kingdom, pallor, the fever of delirium in the 40s, launching an arsenal against the German version of the plan, not recognizing kin in the mirror, while black folk came teeming north, gave girth and mirth to the east side bottom, fleeing cotton and crow, growing blues and sinews of democracy from the loam, zoned into ghetto fires of moaning hot kitchens, noosed by vigilante police and suburban flights of fancy and assets, until the explosion of 67 rocked the dream and the corporate scheme of the millennium was reframed. into a banker's algorithm of plunder, sundering sons from fathers, mothers, and daughters' homes from the hands that built them schools, made havens of hedge fund hustles, chartering futures into profits for stockholding backers of Alec, Koch brother Cole, the latest racket for crony hacks in the lancing ranks of vultures picking clean the pockets of pensioners and clerks, emergency manor laws, the newest scripture, Bob and Roberts and Orr, the street pushers ripping dimes from the poor, contracts from the union hall floor, locking the prison door on dark skin and mestizo spore, pirating water and islands, parks and art, loading foundation dollars into the coffers of entrepreneurial hawkers of a gentrified vision of resurrection. One more time, heaven built from pillage, hell visited on colors, whitewash the palaver, granting talking head cover to the game, the same rain as a Nazi dream rising like sewer steam over the drain pipes of collusion, derision on every side, while Gilbert and Illich and Duggan quicken the loan, jackhammer the stadium into the street gnome, shut off the tap, broker the future like a fire sale of rain and land, and the graves grow, and the cock crows, and the night falls. But beware. A stone rolls back from a black hole, and a root gathers nitrogen, and bones take on flesh, and spirit begins to muscle its way toward the sun, and blood runs thick, and the tricksters have never been able to stop the dawn. There is a spawn of revolution growing, a people on the rise in the crevices of contusion, because emergency, once unleashed and not merely declared, is ultimately unmanageable and ruthless.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Thank you.
I could do one more, but maybe I'll just hold off so we can go through other people then.
We've got two other readers, so we are taking this to about 8:40. So if you have a short one, you can do that. We'll everybody has about 5 minutes each. So if you have a very brief one, we'll allow that, or maybe we'll circle back to you at the end if we have
do it
for
that.
Q&A.
Yeah.
Okay, how about we do that? So then our next open mic reader is another one of the Fab Five grant writers, and and this one is Miss Ruby Woods. Thank you so much. Welcome to the mic.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Sonia. I am going to read a couple of Ron poems. So much of his personal reading of his work was like very rapid fire and very, very powerful and rhythmical and musical, even before he began to set it to music. But I want to read a couple of pieces that I consider love poems. And one was published in Neon Jawbone Riot. It's titled 10 Seconds of Touch. And underneath it says Sarah in parentheses. Didn't know there was a woman in there. Sliding on the moon flesh of Eve, dancing fire on the grave of my mouth. I shout hell from God's growing. There's a woman in there. Thighs of vinyl skin avenues, sweat like liquid rage. It's a woman in there, consumed in my thighs. Pepper shake whipped vibrato on my upright tongue. Fertility winging my hand into life. There's my death, dancing in the temple tantra spine. Boxes of eurythmia, growls and allegra, mesh growing. Shake images of Shakti into cosmic motion. Didn't know she was in there. Breaking fission in her teeth. Her rotating rhythms revive, vibrating worship of mantra chant. She breaks voodoo rites and Celtic nirvanas, inebriated hip shake addictions, poem life rum wings, rooting her thighs with cadence on my altar. It's a woman in there, watching my faked out, snaked out, made out wit, bracing hard redemption in her laughing ancient abyss. In there, is this woman prime words of visionary connection, soil and tree? I travel folds of guru sweat, press warm beer poison to my lips. I drink my thirst from her funk. She's in there. No image of dementia dance, brick-loaded guns of mirrors, quatrains of liquid numbers. It's not mathematics. It's slumber riots of hunger. It's us in beds of history. It's spit contained in prisons. She's in there, encoded in flesh, rhythm hips of war, smashing my catatonic trance, dancing my insanity in her throat. And the other one on being weightless. You, experiential renegade, touch, language, the skin of knowledge, the soul, the rhythm of the tongue, DNA, yin. You're open like eyebright, syllable, the number of origin, the symbol of genes, the oneness of sexual eyes. God is the organ. God is she orgasm. You the window, the extension of words, from the hara, the center, the closed mouth of air, sun, the oval spine of nature. That is what you are. Word, the splinter, shaved, whittled, icon, you real as teeth. The industry of your heart, badass witch. Circles are the yin flow of your blood. You are gaping with connective personalities. Mother of onion and dish, image invocation, spell of openness at once. Your genitalia sweeps your brilliant thighs. Flow, music, laugh, dance, demon, queen, ear, stomp, tide, ride, focus, nirvana. You open like rebel mother's milk, tofu midnight, moon muster energy, number, circadian, ultradian. You are openly weightless. I tie you to this thing called words to keep you inside. My heart, my poem, at once. That's Ronnie Al.
Thank you very much, Ruby, for bringing Ryan into the space even further. We have one more open mic poem, one more open mic poet. It gives me great pleasure to introduce and to welcome Tawana Honeycomb to the open mic tonight.
Yeah, I'm so honored to be here. I was so geeked to see your email. Can you all hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry I'm off camera. I've been on Zoom since like 8 this morning and I've had to get real comfortable. Y'all don't need to see it. So the two quick poems that I'm gonna do, first of all, giving it up to all the artists that came before me. Stunning, 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 and especially our feature, incredible. So I'm gonna do these two short poems, and I've been a sounding board for one of my friends who is really mirroring an old relationship that I used to be in. And so I had to go back to my old poetry books from when I purged that person out my life, just so that I could give her some decent advice. It's not the same person, but it sounds the same. So I'm gonna do these two quick poems. I should have regurgitated my pride. And these are 13 years old, by the way. I've been in a good streak since then. I should have regurgitated my pride, spit up my insecurities into chunks of self-esteem, and injected them into my cerebral. Because like Berlin, you chipped at me until I caved, built me up like a Jenga game, then yanked the walls from underneath. I knew our union wasn't steady. And though it was clear you were not ready, I clung to false sensations. Painted perky portraits over lonely desperation. I heard the things you didn't say. Read between the lines you'd never write, made fiction our reality. Still, I couldn't find the strength to leave, made investments in your apologies, but could never bank on your return. I remember when butterflies danced the contours of my stomach. Now they flutter angrily at your touch. You made loving you a chore, you played me dirty. I couldn't be your welcome mat no more. I still have footprints on my spine, broken glass between my sheets from nights I drank myself to sleep. It's crazy how you can worship someone's ground while you've got concrete on your back and I can't front like it don't hurt. My soul is fractured. I still see tattered pictures of your deceitful smile. You were hell-bent on perfection, but treated me like a mistake. You led my happiness astray. Now this cat and mouse game won't get no further play because I can't cheese through all this whining. So here's a stone for your glass house. I hope your frame survives the toss, because though it's pain you put me through, I refuse to use my words to tear you down. That's the first poem. And then my final poem is, I'll just get into it. I couldn't see past my eyelids, kept dreaming of permanence between our souls, couldn't face the truth outside my heart's devotion. My emotion confused with love, lies confused with facts, half relationships confused with whole ones because you holding me partially, with one foot extended to your freedom from her. So now I'm alone, like the last fruit on the tree before the fall takes over. And yeah, I wanted you to come over, but I don't know how we took it there. I can't remember paddling up this creek, but I just know I'm here, stuck between brick and concrete. But what's concrete is your life scenario. And I don't know whether to beg you to stay or keep pushing you to go, because the night has yet to meet the sunrise and secrets are unrevealed, locked between two chests, exposing hearts prone to breakage. And we can't take it. Our being apart is like twins in different schools. Yeah, we thought it'd be cool, like running outside naked on a winter vacation. I remember our first conversation. Nothing special, no catches. You introduced and I produced a smile, innocent like the kiss from a 2-year-old child. And that right there was wild, like flowers in a rainforest. And yeah, I was digging your true colors, but you left no pot at the end of your rainbow for me. So now I'm broken, hoping this spoken word brings me some closure. My exposure more prominent every day. And yeah, I've rebirthed since my last birthday, so I'm trying to be a grown-up, trying to raise 5 feet, 10 inches of testosterone the right way. So I pray that God sends me a man who makes me priority and not an option. I won't let you color me purple like a Miss Seeley adoption, because I think I'm pretty, witty, silly, yeah, sometimes a little sedity, but I'm lovable. And what I've got to offer makes me more than an average woman. So if you see pity in me, you shouldn't. And I realize what you needed, what I needed you to be, you couldn't. So we keep trying to bid our farewells, knowing damn well it won't be easy, because you please me and I you. We go together like half sandwiches and soup. So what's the girl to do when she's stuck being number too many to count? Got me screaming my shout outs because breathing just hasn't been easy since you left. So I'm trying to adjust, wishing we would have kept this at just lust and moved on. Instead, you've got me pouring out my heart in this damn poem. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much, Tawana. And thank you to everyone who read during the open mic. Right now, we're going to enter the time for some Q&A, for some discussion. And I want to begin by reading from Gloria House, who wrote in the chat. So you can take a moment, and if you have questions, if you need to gather yourself or write them down or anything, we'll have a conversation with Malaika. And Just to read out loud, what Gloria House, Mama Neb wrote in the chat, Dear Malaika, it's wonderful to see you and hear you again after such a long time. Congratulations on your excellent work and prizes. We at Broadside Lotus Press continue to celebrate you. Warmest, Gloria House, BLP editor. And so for the conversation.
Thank you for that, Owolabi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Gloria. Appreciate it.
So good to see you.
Thank you. I am honored.
So I'm going to kick off the questions with at least one that I have. Malaika, I was really enamored with your Ascension Parish, and there's a line in here about midway the poem where you talk about, and I'll quote here, you say, all of us fathered by the priest who lay with Mother River and gave us, both black and white, our life. And what struck me is that you say gave us, right? But then life, and so there's us that's plural, and then life is singular. And I thought, oh, that's really kind of cool, right? And so can you talk a little bit about that, the singularity of life, and how you see that?
Okay, well, I don't know if you're familiar with Ascension. Well, most of our parishes are named after Catholic saints. So we don't have counties, we have parishes. And so, and we took the lucky draw because we got Ascension, because we get to rise up. Some people got Assumption, and then St. Mary, St. Helen, and so forth. But what I was really focusing on is the idea that because we were so Catholic here in Louisiana, that's why I chose that comparison to the priest, the old priest, and the river being almost like lovers. And so then birthing us into life. In other words, Ascension birthing or the whole community of what our Geismar, Ascension Parish. So all of us are sort of being born from the original river, that there's this sense to me of the river giving us life, as well as the unity of the concepts that here we are in this Catholic place, and the river becomes almost like a Madonna, the mother form. For me, I usually think of the river as as female. Sometimes I write of the river as male, but usually it's female for me. And so I'm just imagining that combination. So the two combination of the priest or the church and the mother, the Madonna, so birthing us. No offense to Catholicism, but just to make that analogy that all of it came together for me, because I was seeing, and in fact, Ascension, there is a feast day called the Feast Day of the Ascension, in which Catholics celebrate. And so I'm sort of combining all those concepts into one form. And in the poem, I imagined that, I kept thinking, well, why did we end up with all these chemical plants along our, river? And what does that mean? And so I came to the conclusion that, we being Ascension, we being of a Catholic persuasion, we are then asked to be the sufferers. We are suffering for the rest of the world, or the rest of Louisiana, by accepting our chemical spills and our chemicals. It's not good for us, it's not healthy for us. And I remember going to a meeting, I attend some of these meetings from the chemical plants because they're required to let us know when they're about to do something that's going to hurt us. And I asked the guy, they wanted to burn some more, they wanted to build another, whatever they use to burn these leftover chemicals that they can no longer use. So they burned them. So what happens is that this chemical is burning, but the whatever is the result of it goes into the air. And they said, whoa, it's just a very minimal amount of pollution that you're getting. But then all of the plants are burning their leftover chemicals that they can no longer use. So you got a mixture of all this stuff coming out. And so I said, but what, isn't that bad for the community? So he answered me, he said, well, if we don't burn it here, somebody's going to get it. We're going to burn it somewhere. So, so it gave me that thought, well, so we are to be the ones who are to sacrifice and accept the burn, because if we don't accept it, they're going to send it to somebody else. It's the same thing, how, like when you think about chemical pollutions and trash, our trash that we have, we have to dispose of it, and what's left over, we used to send it to different countries. Here's our trash. Not that, and eventually countries began to say, well, we don't want your trash, but something has to happen to the trash. And so it's that whole idea that somebody is to suffer so that the rest of us can be all right. And so that was my feeling there in the whole poem, that we are chosen to suffer. And like the suffering of Christ, the suffering of saints who decide that they're just going to spend the rest of their lives in prayer for the rest of us, to help the rest of us. So here we are spending our lives accepting this chemical, because we live here and we can't go anywhere. I mean, unless we just choose to move away. We are chosen to receive the punishment and the death, so that everybody else can be all right. Does that make sense?
You're muted, Sonia.
I'm sorry, I thought I was thinking quite a bit about the current climate crisis that we're in when I read that piece as well. And so that was going to be my follow-up question, but I didn't even have to ask it because you just went right there, because that is exactly what this piece is talking about. So thank you for writing that piece.
Okay.
We're going to go to a couple of questions from the audience, and I was going to have everybody write their questions in, but I see that there is a Tamu favorite who says that she has a question, and I think she wants to ask it, and her last name is Favorite, so I'm thinking there might be a relation. I'm going to let Tamu ask her question.
Okay. All right. Hi. Yeah, actually it's Favorite. Malaika and I pronounce it differently. But anyway, but I still love her. She's my sister. Yes. But I wanted to know, Malaika, how could you talk a little bit about how you connect your paintings with your poems? If you could elaborate on that, I would really appreciate it.
Okay, sure. Okay, right now I have a show coming up in Baton Rouge, and it's at the Baton Rouge Gallery. And the gallery is pretty large, so we have 3 artists showing at one time, and each of us get to choose a theme for our show. And this year I am focusing on the environment, and my paintings are about the environment. And I completed most of the paintings, but I just had this one painting in my head that I felt, yeah, I really have to do this. And because of my love for the river, I'm in love with the river, okay? And so I decided, my sister, one of my sisters, Yoruba, is an artist as well, and she did a painting called Self-Portrait as a Sewing Machine, and that always fascinated me. Self-portrait as a sewing machine, that's so great. And so I thought about, what, it's not enough to just talk about the river, but to put yourself into yourself as the river. So my painting is Self-Portrait as the Mississippi, inspired by Yoruba's painting of the sewing machine. And because I realized, from living here, that we are not singular, we're not alone. And, it's like we're people and everything else is for us to exploit and do what we want with. But the animals they own part of the planet. Part of the planet belongs to the ant. The river owns part of the planet. So we have to respect each thing that we use as also a thing that belongs to the planet, and therefore needs to be given their amount of consideration. And I think that my concern and fear, of course, with climate change and everything, we realize that we are doing a very poor job of acknowledging our responsibility as caretakers. We are very poor caretakers of the planet. And so my whole theme with the book itself, you know, because our dad was also an environmentalist. That was his big thing. You know, he was totally focused on, he worked at the plant, and then he began to see what the plants were doing to us. So many people dying of cancer, you know, in our area, and so much pollution. And so that kind of rubbed off on me in my art and in my writing, that, you know, I can't pretend that that this doesn't exist, that the environment is okay and it's going to fix itself somehow. No, we are responsible. And so I try to incorporate that, not just in my poetry, but in my painting, that, you know, just to kind of remind people, you know, hey, you know, the river is important. The river belongs to you. You don't have to just give the river away just because you're going to get in, you know, a little more money. You got to respect everything in the environment. And that's my focus, that the art, I guess I'm more like, I see myself as not just as a poet or an artist who creates beautiful things, but as someone who is a messenger. So I try to use my art and my writing to make messages that will make people think about what they're doing. And so that's how I interpret what my art and writing should do. And sometimes the art will inspire a poem, and sometimes the poem will inspire a painting. Like, for instance, the poem, The River Flows Through Us. I wrote that poem a while back, and I did a painting much later with the poem. And in fact, I incorporated the poem into that painting. So they sort of interchange, you know, and sometimes it'll be like a while back, like let's say 10, 15 years ago, I did a painting. And one day the painting talks to me and I get a poem. So it happens like that. I hope that answers your question, Temu. Favorite.
Favorite, right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. In addition to the messages, one thing that I really appreciate is that even as the poems have this environmental sentiment, there's such a range of different emotions. There's love and sorrow and outrage and worship. And so it's a well-rounded, very full depiction of lots of different types of relationships to the environment. So thank you for that. We have a few more questions and we'll see how the conversation continues. Ruby asks, please tell us about making speeches against David Duke in your quest to become a Black Panther.
Ruby, you asked me that question. You would ask me that. Well, okay, when I was at LSU, David Duke was in school with me at LSU, and we used to speak at what was called the Free Speech Alley, which was like on the parade ground. We had a little podium set up, and anybody who wanted to talk about anything they had a problem with or wanted to discuss, they could speak at the Free Speech Alley, which was usually at lunchtime. And so David Duke would often get up and spew out his discussions about why Black people are inferior and so forth. And so I would get up and, you know, I would have to make my comments about what I feel about race relations and what was wrong and what was going on. So that was just a part of the reality of that time. When I went to LSU, there weren't a lot of Black people there. And those of us who were there, we got the number gradually increased, but it was a smaller number at the time. And so we often got together and we formed an organization called Harambee. which was an organization of Blacks working together, Black students working together to support each other. And while I was there, I was really fascinated by what the Black Panther Party was doing. I thought they were amazing and wonderful. And so I started writing letters to the Black Panther Party, and I said I would like to start a chapter here in Louisiana, blah, blah. And, you know, I was writing several letters, and so I even went to New York to visit the party because I wanted to see, you know, why haven't I heard from you guys? I've been writing letters. They said, well, we never received letters from you. And I thought, well, that's strange. And I wrote several letters to you guys. No, we didn't get any letters from you. So anyway, a few months later, I was coming home from school, walking to my apartment, and there was a Black car parked in front of my apartment, and two men standing in Black suits with dark glasses, very strange. Anyway, so I pretended that I didn't see them, you know, so they're not here for me, and I'm going on. And they said, are you, at the time, was I Malaika or was I Bobby? I don't know, I had several names going, you know. Anyway, I said, well, they said, well, your favorite, Malaika favorite, is that you? I said, yes, we need to talk to you. I said, okay, can we come in? They came in and they pull out, you wrote these letters. So they had all my letters. They confiscated all my mail. And you wrote these letters, blah, blah. We have confiscated these letters. We see what you're doing and what you're trying to do. And we're here to tell you to desist and stop, because we have you on, you know, on record, and you are being observed. And it was really weird because then they also pulled out another thing. It was like a stack of my poems. You wrote these. And I remember, I mean, during that period in my life, I wrote a lot of poetry. I mean, I used to curse a lot. I was a real cursor, you know, and I mended my ways. But I just had a lot of strong emotions at that time, and that was the way to express it. And so my poetry was very full of imagery, strong imagery. And I remember one time a lady called me and said, oh, we've heard about your poetry and we would love to publish some of it. So could you bring us a stack of poems? And I did, and I met her, and again, you know, this is the key, people. She had on dark glasses, okay? When people have on dark glasses, you have to say, uh-oh, something wrong here. So I gave her the stack of poems. She's gonna publish my poems, you know, never heard from her again. So obviously she was the FBI people connection to collect my poems. So they got my poem, a stack of my poems somewhere in the vault there. And they told me, well, you know, just be aware that you're being watched and that you are on our list, and you need to stop this effort of yours to create a chapter of the Black Panther Party in Louisiana. So I think they came back once more to remind me of my sins. But other than that, I never was able to get the party off, you know, going. I mean, we had other groups. I was working with other groups where we work with children. We had a feeding program and taught, you know, little classes and stuff. But I kind of wanted to raise to another level, but that didn't happen. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that's deep. When I saw that, I was like, okay, we have to delve into that a bit. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
I'm going to read the next two questions, which will be our last two questions, and for you to respond to them and any other comments that you would like to bless us with. And Tawana asks, what is your first poetic memory, such as writing your own poem or hearing a poem that moved you? And Ruby Woods asks, can you share something about arrangement in gray and black?
Okay, my first poetry experience, I used to write stories a lot. When we were little, I would tell stories to my sisters and brothers. You know, we would play games and I would tell stories. I would make up stories. And I remember my earliest writing was really stories, little stories about different things that I thought about. And they would be funny and fun. And I think my early poetry happened more in college. When I was in college, I started writing poetry, and I would like to thank Kalamu Yasalam in New Orleans, because he was one of the people who believed in my work, and he published my my early poems in his collections, his anthologies, and his magazines. And so that I really became actively writing poetry in college. And so yeah, that would be the earliest period. I was writing it before, but I became very serious about it, especially in expressing the frustrations I was having as a Black student on a white campus. Arrangement in Gray and Black, we are struggling with the title. That is my novel. The original title was Arrangement in Gray and Black, and we've now put it as After Color. And the story, again, it was about my way of writing is I ask myself a question and then I try to answer the question. And my question was the frustration I was feeling with, why in the world are people so obsessed with what color a person is? What does it matter? We all blood, you know, we all have red blood. Why is this whole color issue a big thing? And I thought to myself, suppose we didn't have color. Suppose you couldn't see colors. Color could be there, but you couldn't see it. What if nobody could see color? And so that's the theme of my book, that all of a sudden, the speculative fiction, nobody can see color again. No person can see color. And so you have these generations of people, the generation who saw color and will witness the loss of color, and the generation of new children who've never seen color and they don't even know what you're talking about. You know, saying about, you know, it was a purple dress. What in the world is that? You know, so that's the story, that color disappeared. And my premise is that if color has disappeared, how do these people live with it? What do they do, and how do they try to get it back? And if one person gets it, how do they react to that one person? So that is the story there. Yeah.
Oh,
And this is Cosmographia Books, and hopefully we hope to have the book out this year. My prayer. It was supposed to come out, but then COVID happened, and COVID threw a monkey wrench in the whole proceedings. So, yeah.
that sounds so inspiring. Thank you for sharing some of your talents in all these different realms, sharing some time with us, being a part of the community that's here, that gathers every few months. And thanks everybody, you know, all the audience, the participants. Thank you to Ruby and all the organizers. Thanks to the Ron Allen Project. And I am asked to announce the next reading, which is going to be a special date. It's going to be Sunday, October 30th from 7 to 9. So note that it's a change just for this session from Monday to Sunday. Sunday, October 30th from 7 to 9 p.m. And you met Ether Detroit Blue. You met him very briefly, and we'll get a chance to get to know his work a little bit more as the feature. Ether is a cosmic gentleman, a doctorate of dissonant harmony. Blue is a vibration of thought, sound, and color. He has performed across all the realms with infinite sentient beings of the cosmic community.
Blue is also a poet, artist, author, playwright, and media graphic improvisationalist. He fuses acoustic and electronic instruments into a blend that transforms the mundane into a vibe that is both peaceful and lively at the same time. We look forward to seeing him and hearing him on Sunday, October 30th at 7 o'clock. Before we part, I want to just again thank everybody for attending, and I want to thank our featured reader, Ms. Malaika Favorite, for an awesome reading. And I'd like to just thank our sponsors as well, in addition to the Fab Five. But our key sponsor for this event, it's been made possible by the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, and it is supported by the Hannan Center and the Kayrod Gallery here in Detroit, Michigan. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
The wall is Detroit. It is invading you with cellular truth. The sail is a grid, it bites. It tastes of rind. The rind is a tether, the tether is a word. The word is a prayer, it does not know itself. The rind is knowledge, it knows the grid of your mouth. Detroit lives inside. It is solid with industry. Smog is the image of the cell. It is billboard cool. We walk the High Point Casino Rift solid as your teeth. It breeds educated men and women who die at night. They live in the opening of the wall. The wall is their head in the grid of the day. They make love to its image. Its image is fear. They swallow it whole. They float on the surface. They smoke traffic lights and creep into millennium high on necessity. Their memory is a wound with 40-ounce dance sobriety. It is a weapon. There's death on the political grunts of votes. High art cafe grunts smelling of cheap flesh and Cadillacs. Communion at 6 p.m., the altar of time. We move like snake oil rhetoric against the grid. Its texture is boxed cheese. Time card rape, it sounds like money. Chance is stuck in the mouth of the city. A holy war of blue team prisons and collages of bullet love. The holy pride of steel. Juggernaut movie only mesh of jettison nucleus revolution. Storefront misery and little sister's grip. The knowledge of the wall like us is telephone type room hustle. Tricks of mythology and canned chance of quick grits and game. Hungry for mesh sandwiches of luck. Tasting chance at the gold fin the Coney Island beauty of deep sleep. We wait for light. Amen. The hole in your head is Detroit a stop sign. Movement is skillet fried chance. Fast food prisons of sweat. The grid is rhyme and freeze of Mac money. Anger and rodeo pork joint boxes of meaning gleaned as paychecks. Lip wrap dances of gas spots, vanilla dreams, and black muscle mysteries of names. Requiem for needles. Fried into data brew. Lick at the bone of the grid. Wet with desire. Mickey Mouse country bars, multiple shots of rose falling through the hole of supper to engage. Pedestrian Bible thumping midnight shift screaming jeopardy at the wind. Eyes Rolodex windows of glitter. The way home is scaling a hope. The naked chest of chance, the pork pie slow wit of God. Skin is the coffin slow shaking Monday dice. Aim for the top. The sleep, benediction. Chance is the road to Nirvana. Disc jockey spunk nerves of Sunday, the playground of Jesus. Wet cup messes of 5-star hotels, 10-cent orgasm of telemarketing heroes. The war roots and techno-themed landscape stage for policies of carcasses. Rusted wine on grid of the day. Images of strangled chance aborted at the mouth. Lucid! I pray to small. Lucid! I pray to small gas chance.